channel.
Now it's
Be
on.
inspired.
Welcome to Jane Unchained, featuring best-selling author, TV journalist, and JaneUnchained.com founder, Jane Velez-Mitchell. In the next few minutes, you'll hear a secret solution to the problems that plague our world. If you want to revolutionize your life, get truly joyful, and jump to the next phase of human evolution, all it takes is one simple choice. Now, here's your host, Jane Velez-Mitchell.
Mother Nature is angry, and we are just getting the first taste of her anger. Coast to Coast Catastrophe that is designed, I believe, to send a message. And whether that message is intentional or not, there is a message being sent. We are trashing our planet, and there are consequences. There is hell to pay. And my heart goes out to all the human beings and all the animals, domesticated and wildlife, who are suffering as a result of these coast-to-coast catastrophes. Most recently, of course, the Malibu fires. I am here with Simone Reyes. We were in the midst of the Malibu fires, doing animal rescue, just being out there trying to help. And let me tell you, when those fires move, they move quickly. And here's what I want to talk about today. Do we want to get a handle on this crisis? Or do we want to keep doing the same exact thing and then being victims? There is another way. There is a better way. When people talk about climate change, they talk about the Paris Climate Change Accords. They talk about transportation. They talk about methane. But one thing they don't talk about is the second, according to some, leading cause. Some say it's the primary leading cause of climate change, and that is animal agriculture. That's what we're going to talk about today. 74 billion animals being raised in horrific conditions, animals who are just like little Rico here, who eat almost 40 times what they produce as meat. We are giving the planet a buzz cut to create cattle land and to grow crops to feed all those animals. We're only 7.6 billion humans. Simone Reyes, you were there. You saw the devastation of the fire. If you could say one thing to the people here about what we need to do as a society to save ourselves from, this is just an appetizer, people. It's going to get a lot worse. To save ourselves from ecological collapse within a decade, what would you tell them?
It's obvious. Go vegan. What we saw yesterday and the day before was horrific, and there is absolutely no excuse for it. It is, like the memes that everybody puts up. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We know now what is happening to Mother Nature. We know that what we put in our mouths is creating worldwide disasters. We are only the trench workers, literally trying to put out fires. And here we are having, billions of animals being raised in the worst possible conditions with the most misery. And then what are we doing? It's making us sick. It's destroying the planet. And now it is creating the worst climate change disaster so that when a fire breaks out, it is not easily contained. California is burning. Just yesterday, we had evacuations in Topanga. We are at the mercy of the winds, of the Santa Ana winds out here. And now we have a situation that is only, some say 5% contained, some say 10%. We're going on days now, and fires are breaking out all over the place. And the solution is obviously to have a plant-based diet. That is number one. And, we have so many people, incredible people, risking their lives. We risked our lives to go out there yesterday and the day before. And everybody says, oh my God, we want the animals to be saved. But the problem is even some of those rescuers are still, after a long day, of breathing in the worst kind of smoke are going home and having a burger. It makes no sense. So, I mean, we can talk until we're blue in the face, but it's obvious. Turn on the news. It is because of animal agriculture that we are in this disaster zone right now.
We have a call. Mick Davudian, you are in Northern California. What is your question or thought, Mick Davudian?
Hi, Jane. Hi, Simone. I'm actually in Dallas, Texas right now, attending a conference. But yes, I live in California. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, thank you to the heroes on the ground who went out and put their own lives on the line, literally many times. I know Lisa, Karlan, you, Simone, I know several others were involved to save many animals from sanctuaries as well as pets. I'll tell you, personally, anytime there's a situation involving animals in need, I'm motivated to get involved because, let's face it, animals are like children in that they can't advocate for themselves. The difference is that almost everyone finds great empathy for children and many towards animals, but only very few towards animals deemed to be farm or food animals. And if you look at studies, they consistently show that adults refer to themselves, for the most part, as animal lovers. But these people jump to help in when it's a dog or a cat or other pet species arbitrarily deemed worthy of our love and care, yet will in an instant turn a blind eye when we're asking for help involving cows, pigs, or other so-called farm animals. And of course, we understand why this is, right? For those who haven't aligned their values with their own actions and still continue to consume animals, be it food, wearing leather, fur, etc., it's obviously very difficult for them to jump in and provide assistance to help, say, a cow or a pig or a chicken when they know very well that their own daily actions, sometimes 3 times a day, in what they eat and what they wear, directly contributes to the suffering of the same species of animals elsewhere, right? So really the most convenient thing for them at the moment is to quickly pretend they don't hear, they didn't see the Facebook post, they didn't get the call, they didn't get the text, and turn a blind eye, as I said earlier. And actually, in some cases, they come out swinging at those of us who don't differentiate between species of animals, right? Or humans for that matter. We think all animals, including humans, are the same. I'll give you a rather difficult prime example, albeit a bit extreme, but I received several hate messages in the past 24 hours after I put my own phone number on social media asking for help evacuating some pigs that were stuck in the path of a fire coming in Malibu. And if it's okay with you, I'll just read.
Let's keep names out of it for legal reasons. We don't want any names. This is a bigger issue than any individual.
Absolutely it is. I'm not naming names at all. This is somebody I do not know. Here's what the text reads. Hey, you crazy ass vegan. Since I know you don't eat meat, save me some of that extra crispy bacon when you find your piggy.
Yeah, well, look,
that message alone speaks volumes, right? And the challenge the animal liberation movement and we face. So I think, frankly, this is why those of us who are in the trenches and day in, day out dealing with this disconnect, it's upon us to make friends, family, and neighbors allies of us and convince them that they don't want to be on the wrong side of history, and that if they aren't vegan, they are they're continuing to be part of the problem.
Mick Davudian, you are a hero for the animals. You are always there whenever, and you are evolved. You realize there's no real difference between this pig and a dog. And while people will lavish billions of dollars collectively on these animals and call themselves animal lovers, they're participating in the worst torture and killing in terms of numbers and in terms of severity in the history of humankind. We are the cruelest culture to animals, bar none, ever. And it's only getting worse as the number of people increases. And here's the thing. You can wake somebody up who is asleep, but you can't wake somebody up who is pretending to be asleep. America and the Western world is pretending to be asleep on this issue. You can talk to a feminist and they will talk to you about their work for feminism. And then when you say, well, you know, there's a commonality, and I just had this conversation with someone. There's a commonality between feminism and animal rights. Shut down, completely 100% shut down. And then I proceeded to say, you know, gently, none of these animals in these factory farms are making love. They're all raped. End of conversation. End of conversation. So what happened to the phrase rape is rape? If this is the ultimate violation of the sacred feminine, where we are mass producing billions, 74 billion animals to kill them most as babies after ripping them away from their mothers, while we're running around as a society calling ourselves animal lovers and hiring the poorest of the poor who have no choice in what job, that very little choice in what job they're going to take. And there's a 30% or more turnover in slaughterhouses. And let them do the killing while we say we're animal lovers. And if you challenge anybody on it, you're the bad guy. You're the crazy person. There is nothing to be proud of when you are well adjusted to a sick society. That is nothing to be proud of. And we are a sick society. And as they say, the chickens are coming home to roost. And I'll give you an example. We've got somebody, the reason you heard dogs barking, we've got somebody who just returned from the Carolinas doing rescue, and she'll be able to tell you what she saw on the ground. But I'll tell you one thing. In the wake of Hurricane Florence, where approximately, and it could be more than this, 3.5 million so-called factory farm animals were abandoned in warehouses to die. And a news conference was held in Wilmington, North Carolina, to say, we don't want these concentrated animal feeding organizations or operations called CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding operations, to be restocked. And the news media came and they recorded the news conference and they never aired it. But when I went online to see what they were airing a barbecue for the victims of Hurricane Florence. We're on now with Dr. Reese Halter, who is a noted conservation biologist and author. Very honored to have Dr. Reese Halter joining us now. Dr. Halter, what do you have to say about the blindness that people have, even in the wake of losing their homes and their livelihoods, to at least the second leading cause of climate change, animal agriculture, arguably, possibly the leading cause? Dr. Halter, are you on? All right, we'll get back to him.
The problem here is the disconnect. And yes, first of all, and it's frustrating in all fields, because how can anyone honestly say that they're working in the environment movement and eat animals? That's the first thing. The second thing is, you're 110% correct. Animal agriculture contributes more climate destroying greenhouse gases directly than the entire global transportation sector. And animal agriculture is contributing to the expansion of over 520 dead zones, oxygen-less zones in the oceans. The runoff enters the waterways. It's nutrient-rich, particularly with nitrogen, but also phosphorus and potassium. It's causing massive algal blooms to the untrained eye. They're green plants. People think, well, nothing of it. When those plants die and they decompose, they suck all or most of the oxygen out of the ocean. This is an epic crisis. And then let us move on and not forget to our glorious ancient forests, the land lungs of the planet. They are being raised, the ancient forests, at 138 acres every minute, 24/7, 365. Much of that, Jane, is for animal agriculture. The elephant in the room, easily, and my bane amongst all of us, is one word: subsidies. You take the subsidies away, and all of a sudden, raising the forests, killing the oceans, and killing the atmosphere, it goes away. And it's a matter now of people coming to a stark conclusion. Either they're going to spend the last quarter of their lives enslaved to pharmaceutical medicines because they're poisoning themselves from eating animals. When we eat animals, the poisons in the animals, and we all know, the farmed animals are given pharmaceuticals, not because they're sick, but because it's supposed to prevent them from being sick. Those chemicals are biomagnifying up the food chain into humans, in some cases, millions of times. And it is the gateway to becoming enslaved by chemicals. We know this. There's more than half a century of medical research that shows that plant-based diets are the way forward. And even more so, which is very exciting, we're now looking at people, frugivores, people that are eating strictly fruit. And it's stunning. First of all, fruit is the highest vibrational food that we can eat. We know that those afflicted with cancer, when they go on a 60 or 90-day straight grapes-only diet, that it puts the even stage 4 cancer into remission. We know this. And it's incumbent because on top of all of what we've just discussed, we're in the midst, not just in California, not just in Portugal, not just in Spain, not just in Germany, not just in Australia or Canada, globally. I forgot to mention Brazil, the Amazon, the largest rainforest, and the second largest rainforest in the Congo in Africa. If you saw a fire map, you would see that our planet is burning like it's never burned before.
And here's the thing, Dr. Halter, you can talk to people till you're blue in the face. And there is this disconnect because they look around them, and even when they're in the fire, they don't want to necessarily connect the dots to their own behavior. And we're not blaming anybody who's a victim. Our hearts go out. We want to make sure that everybody understands that we're sensitive to the plight of those who've lost their homes. And there are people who have died. There's many people who have died. And our hearts go out to them. But we're trying to offer a solution. We're trying to say that this isn't just natural disasters anymore, that these storms, these century storms, these 500-year storms, these wildfires are accelerating in intensity and frequency. And this is just the beginning. We are going to have an ecological collapse within a